Dennis Rader, aka BTK, was an active serial killer in Wichita for 2 decades and murdered about 10 people. BTK stands for bind, torture, and kill. He was a sadistic serial killer that got pleasure from the attention. He always taunted the police after each kill and sent messages to the newspapers. He randomly stopped killing in 1991 and the case went cold. Later, he resurfaced and began sending clues and pictures again. And eventually, because of his arrogance, he messed up and sent them a computer disk, which eventually led them back to him and his arrest. Rader is not the topic today, however. My topic will be about serial killers, what they are, their reasons for killing, some examples, and how they are caught. First, I need to emphasize what a serial killer is. A serial killer is a person who kills 3 or more over a period of time. The period of time is important, which means the kills must be separate events. Serial killers often act outgoing and normal. Like, they aren't the reclusive type where you could just look at them and tell they were one. And this serial killer is not to be confused with mass murderer or spree killer. A mass murderer is a person who kills a bunch of people in one event. So a person like a bombing that killed 15 people. A spree killer is a person who kills a bunch of people in a short period of time. Like if a killer killed 3 people in one day, but at 3 different times. There are 2 common types, organized and disorganized. As you can see down there, there's some of the examples, or some of the things with it. Organized is usually very smart. They plan out their killings very well, try not to leave any evidence, so they're much harder to catch than disorganized, which are usually low IQ, kill randomly, don't bother to cover up their tracks, so easier to catch. And according to an article from howstuffworks.com, 80% of serial killers are Caucasian males in their mid-20s to 30s and kill Caucasian women, which is what that chart on the left shows. Next, I'll talk about reasons for killing. According to an article from FBI.gov, the main reasons for murder are anger, which would be if somebody showed anger towards a subgroup or towards society in general, so like a racial killing. Criminal enterprise, which would be gang-related killings that would boost your status, like a gang member killed somebody to go up in the gang. Financial gain would be a kill for money, such as a homicide robbery. Ideology, which would be to further the goals of a group or organization, which would be like terrorist groups. Psychosis, which would be mental illness affecting their killing, so they're paranoid or hallucinating, they don't know what's going on. Power or thrill killings, which as you can see is the highest one on here, is when the killer just gets excited and feels powerful from killing. And the last one is sex-driven, which would, when they kill, it fulfills their sexual desires. And the 3 main things that that cause people to kill are usually childhood neglect and abuse, brain injury, and or mental illness. Now that I've explained why serial killers kill, I'll elaborate on some examples. The following examples were all given by crimemuseum.org. First, we have H.H. Holmes. He was known to be the first American serial killer, and he was convicted for killing 9 people, confessed to 27, and there's believed to be many more. So the way he killed, he made this big castle hotel thing in Chicago, and all the guests he would torture and murder them. Next, we have the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer was he's really notorious because they never discovered who he was. But he killed 5 people on the West Coast, and there are several unsolved murders that are believed to be his victims. And he was notorious for taunting the police like BTK. He would always send coded letters to the media and ciphers. And the thing about him was that they could never figure out his ciphers. That thing on the left there is one of his ciphers, and it says there, "My name is," and then has the cipher, and they could never figure that out. Next, we have Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was a charming, handsome, intelligent young man who looked as if he would have a career in politics or as a lawyer. But it turned out he was a ruthless killer. He ruthlessly killed attractive college-age girls on the East Coast for many years. He typically used a ruse, like he would fake an injury, like a broken arm, or he would impersonate a cop to get the young women near his vehicle, where he'd hit them over the head and handcuff them and throw them in the back of the car. And he was very brutal in his killings. He would strangle, bludgeon, mutilate, and rape. And he was one of the sex-driven killers. He got sexual gratification from his killings. These men and women are obviously creepy and dangerous, which makes you wonder how they get caught. What investigators do is they study the MO and signature of the crimes. MO is what it takes, like what the serial killer does to complete the crime. So if they typically break in and bludgeon and mutilate, then they'll look for that and they'll put that all together to figure that out. And signature is when a serial killer does something that isn't necessary in the crime. And then some are caught by taunting the police, such as the BTK killer. Some make mistakes that lead to their arrest, such as Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer was a serial killer who killed young men and boys by drugging them and murdering them. So one time he made a mistake and accidentally drugged himself with one of his drinks, and his victim got away, which eventually led them back to him and his arrest. Some are arrested for other crimes. Ted Bundy was arrested for his crimes, but he escaped prison twice. And they eventually found him on a traffic violation stop, which led to him being permanently arrested. And then some were not caught, such as the Zodiac Killer. That is all I have on serial killers. I hope my presentation gave you a more complete view of serial killers and why they do the things they do.